5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good. Oh, hang on a second. Let me pop in a Viagra. I'm a little bit small there. Let's see. Oh, there I go. I'm a bit bigger. As things go, I'm a little bit bigger. Welcome along. Good afternoon. Literally good afternoon. Good evening, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, and all that. Hello, welcome along, wherever you are in the world. One of those will apply to you. I've got to say a very good afternoon to Craig Gilbert, who's still in Menorca, hoping that we'll have a new manager by the time he gets home. Looking at the bottom bit there, you can see betting suspended. Not only, well, I think TalkSport were the first one. Sky have done it as well. Odds Checker have done it. I think Paddy Power have as well. So it's all happening. It is all happening. But hi, Craig. How are you? We'll do a few hellos first. Doug is in. Hi, Doug. Uncle Clibbo's in. Not my Uncle Clibbo, but I can't get used to just calling him Clibbo, because whenever I talk to Reese, he always calls him his Uncle Clibbo, because he is his uncle. So to me, he's Uncle Clibbo. Welcome along, sir. Kunal is in. Hi, mate. Everybody's saying hello to everybody else. Andreas is in. Armchair Jockey is in. Oh, betting is now back open, is it? Oh, interesting. Let me just have a look. It literally wasn't half an hour ago. Nope, TalkSport is still down. So maybe one or two of the smaller sites, I don't know. TalkSport, which is the one I use, because obviously I'm heavily involved with TalkSport, they are still down at the moment. But it is looking exciting. But what we're going to do today is a little bit different, because it does look like it's Martí Cifuentes. I don't know how we're going to get a song out of that name, I've got to be honest with you. But we're going to have a bit of fun today. It's not who we want. It's not who we think will get the job. It's how excited will we get when that person is announced. It will all become as clear as mud as we go through. But let's get on, and I'm going to get my guest Tom in. Tom, good evening, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you as well, mate. Yeah, I understand. We're all over the place with shows at the moment, aren't we? Because of all this drama that's unfolded the last 48 hours. But fair play to you, mate, because you've been there every step of the way, guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe, because Chris is always on the ball.
Thank you, sir. Literally last night, I was doing a show about Gary O'Neill with Craig from Up the Cherries in All Departments, which went on probably a bit longer than I thought. But then again, I should have known with Craig. He doesn't take a diversion. It's not like going from Leicester to Hinckley. He takes a diversion to Loughborough. He takes a diversion to Glasgow.
He takes a scenic route, doesn't he?
Yeah, bless him. Love him to bits, but I do have to cut him off quite a bit. And whilst that was going out live, this news was breaking, so I had to quickly get off. And I've got to say a big thank you to Reese, Uncle Clibbo, who came on and supported me. Uncle Clibbo and Reese were also on the final whistle later. They were probably up all night. And, of course, Jack from Final Whistle joined me as well. You know what? That's good. And Locks from Blue Tinted Glasses. And that's the nice thing. All the Leicester channels are supporting each other.
Yeah, I said that to Wayne last night when we were talking. I said it was lovely to see there's a lot of crossover going on right now, because I think everyone's kind of scratching everyone's back in a really nice way, which I really appreciate as a Leicester fan, because we're all the same community ultimately, no matter what exact channel you're probably associated with, right?
You're gonna have a bit of rivalry, of course you are, and that rivalry is going to come out in the prediction league because they're all in that, so they're all going to want to beat everybody else from the other channels. But no, we are all the same channels, and let's help each other, you know. But I want to say this to you, Tom. When we sacked, when we sacked Dean Smith, we just got relegated.
Yeah.
We went down to the last day, and we kept that belief on that Bournemouth could do us a favour and beat Everton, which of course they didn't. Yeah. And we went down, and we were pretty much, let's be honest with you, 10 years in the Premier League. I didn't think we'd ever, well, I didn't say ever, but I didn't think we'd go back down to the Championship. Certainly not in the way that it happened. We didn't know, I mean, obviously hindsight's a great thing, but we now know that was the start of everything that's gone on behind the scenes and, in Thailand and everything. But we were down on our knees as fans. And the appointment of Enzo, who, let's be honest with you, it was totally left field.
Yeah.
Nobody had even considered him. We didn't even bother to look at the facts and go, do you know what? As a manager, he's only had 12 games in charge. And we know we weren't doing programs like, we have been over the last few days on him. We got excited because A, he'd been sprinkled with pep dust, and B, he was lifting the Champions League trophy 6 days before he signed for us. That was such a buzz around the club. Now, if we were on our knees then, we're on our fucking arse now.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Dude, yeah.
Some of these things we're being linked with, and yes, I'll say Gary O'Neill, they don't actually excite me.
No, I know what you mean. I'll tell you what the problem is, Chris. I think if you go back to then, I mean, there'd only really, in my mind, been one mistake, and that was probably we held on too long before we got rid of Brendan, and we were far too in the mess to get it fixed at that point. So there was still that bit of hope in the board then, wasn't there? But since then, obviously, with Enzo's departure, we've all lost a lot of faith in the ownership because of how the club's been run. And I think when that has been there in the background and the backdrop of all of this, I think it's really affected people's heads, mine included, mate. Because I think I said to you, and when we were on the watch along on Saturday, I said, in some ways, Kingy is kind of like inspirational to me now, because I kind of feel like he's someone I can trust. And I'm not sure if I can trust the owners with whoever they appoint. So every appointment in my head, be it Dyche or Rohl or, Cifuentes, was always going to have a bit of a 5 out of 10 maybe because of who it's coming from at the moment.
Yes. Terence says there, I think there'll be another twist and we'll get Rohl. We're going to talk about, I've gone for the top 9 and my favourite for the job.
He was my favourite as well.
It won't be, but that would definitely get me excited. So we're going to talk. We're not going to go in the detail of he does this formation, he does that formation. He plays that. He doesn't play the youth. He does play the youth. We've done that on all the different shows. So what we're going to do now is just have a bit of fun, and we've got to agree, Tom, you and me, on where we're going to rank these 10 managers. Now,
sounds fun.
Those of you that know me, I haven't done this for a while. Be prepared, everybody. Because here, a daisy, hang on a second. I've just put that up there quickly so you can see it. And then I'll do that to bring Tom and me back in. So there are 5 rankings here. The top one is a full-on stiffy. But this guy is appointed, gives you a full-on stiffy. One down from that is a midweek semi.
Okay.
After that, we've got past the Viagra. We need a bit of help. Going down one from that, I'd sooner do the mother-in-law.
Oh, my word.
And then the last one is take me to the graveyard.
Okay, I like it, Chris. I like the choice of words on this, Chris. I can tell with all the wood and stuff we've had this morning, you've been quite lively, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I mean, I actually, I used to be talking to the last bit there. I used to be into necrophilia, but I've got to be honest with you. I found it dead boring.
Oh, mate, I'm glad you had the joke on the end there, because I was like, don't stop speaking now, Chris, because that's like, when you cut a joke off from that, someone will clip it and put it on like TikTok, and all we'll hear is Chris Samilti, I love necrophilia.
Oh, God.
You see that Sean Locke one where he was talking about how he wanted to revive the Nazis back on one of the shows?
Yes, that was fantastic. I love that.
Just end it there, Sean. Just end it there. I'm nicking his joke, mate. Just end it there.
Yeah. No, that was good. I miss Sean Locke, bless him. But so that's the rating. Like I say, a bit of fun. I'm going to go through them. I mean, should we add to the list of people there? Should we add Christian Horner, because he's become available today? Would he be a good football manager?
Oh, I don't know, my friend. I think he's a bit like a Brendan Rodgers. I'll keep an eye on the secretary at the front door if he comes in. Yeah. So, we might get all sorts of problems behind the scenes. So, no, I think we'll let Christian have some time away. I mean, it's Red Bull, mate. He's going to end up managing the B team in a minute. Isn't that what they do? Just swap them back and forth?
Oh, probably. Or if not, he'll probably get a very good payoff anyway. Right, let's go through this then. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have got the 10 there. I was just checking. So we're going to start on the right. We're going to start with, and I need to go onto the other page for this. We're going to start with Michael Carrick.
Do we have to spread these out evenly, Chris, or am I allowed just to agree with you? We're going to lump a load of them in the bottom, because it looks like some of the faces I'm not really sure if I'm going to be putting them near the top.
No. You can put as many in, as many of those things as you like. You can have 3 full-on orgasms if you want to. I mean, I have to say, well done, mate. If you do, if you have 3 full-on orgasms, I'd be very proud of you. Mate.
We're Leicester right now. Beggars can't be choosers. If we can get one out of this, we'll be very fortunate, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Jeff says he doesn't like the choice of words as my hash name is Floppy Sloppy Seconds. That's between you and mine. Don't get us involved in that, Jeff. So you can put as many as you want in each one, but we've got to kind of agree. So there might be a bit of United Nations going on here.
Okay. Should we do the whole Jimmy Carr spoiler before we start the show? Guys, this is our opinion. Ultimately, if you're going to get offended or upset, it's only a bit of fun, all right? So don't take it seriously, all right?
Exactly.
Chris's joke about necrophilia, which sets the show off to a very good start today.
Yes, exactly. Right, so starting with Michael Carrick.
Okay.
Now, he was, let me just get it up, totally unprepared, because like I say, I wasn't going to do this until 5 minutes before I messaged you. And when I messaged you, you'd only just woken up out of bed, you lazy bastard. So
I was up late last night testing this internet out, doing some live streaming Football Manager on my old YouTube channel, Chris. So it was worth doing it, mate, to make sure I could be here with you today for this comedy, right?
That's good. Michael Carrick is around the 14, 15, 16 to 1 stage. Mr. Blobby, I should have put him on there, shouldn't I? How excited would the appointment of Michael Carrick?
It's going to be one of the bottom 2 for me. I don't think I would even ask for any Viagra on this one. I think I mean, he's an averagely decent manager, isn't he? But when you talk about excitement being the key word here, Chris, I don't think he's a name that as soon as he came up, the fan base was jumping around going, we're excited about the idea of Michael Carrick. So I would probably say, as a quick start on this one, I'll go sooner do the mother-in-law. What do you think?
You know that's going to get cut now, don't you? You just saying sooner do the mother-in-law.
Mate, unfortunately, in this world, it happens quite a lot. Everyone's just got to realise we all say the wrong things, and it's about your intent, right? And
I thought you meant you doing the mother-in-law happens quite a lot, you know. See, I was going to put possibly in past the Viagra.
I can see that argument, mate. Yeah, what's your thoughts? I can see the argument.
Only because I'm comparing it to the others that are coming up.
Yeah, see, this is what I was saying before, wasn't it? Like, how many are we going to be lumping in the bottom? I mean, what sort of mood are me and you in today? I mean, obviously, I was up late last night. I was still half asleep, and some of these guys, I'm just like, ugh, don't really want them anywhere near the football club, really. So maybe, I mean, you kind of half convinced me, perhaps, but can we move around later?
I'm looking at Middlesbrough. I mean, he when he took over Middlesbrough, they were struggling. Okay. And he got them just outside the playoffs. Then they sold the best striker.
Yes.
And obviously, it's like us selling Jamie Vardy and keeping Pass and Daka. I joke, but it could very well be the case. We're not going to then get the goals that we've been getting before, even if we've got a manager that gets the ball over the halfway line. So I was sort of taking that into account. But on an excitement level, I see where you're coming from.
Charisma's not his strong point, is it? But how important is it? But then look at his football career. He was the most solid player and like the unknown superstar at Man United, wasn't he? I mean, that's his style. I mean,
you'd look at him and you'd think, he was a defensive midfielder, wasn't he?
And also, Chris, just say chat, get involved as well. Pop your suggestions in as well. We'd like to hear what you guys think. Obviously, it's an interactive show, this one, a bit as well. So put your thoughts in, please.
No, totally agreed. I should have said that. Thank you for pointing that out, Tom. I'm not sure. I could see Sooner do the mother-in-law, but I could also see past the Viagra.
We need to have blackballs. You ever seen the blackball situation where you can blackball someone? You have one each and you go, I'm blackballing you on this because our opinion is too different. I'm not going to do that this time, but I'm going to give to you, Chris. I think we'll go middle ground with this one because I think that's the point of Michael Carrick. He's kind of a middle grounder, isn't he?
Yes.
So maybe
that's a good idea. We're going to have two. What should we have? 2 black balls each.
I'll just go with one, Chris, for 10. Just go for one. So say if you go I might make a strong play for Andy King, right? And you might go, I'm blackballing that, mate. I'm completely the opposite end. So 1 each?
I think 2 each.
All right, 2 each. I'll agree with you. It's your show, mate. You're the boss. Your rules.
So after this, we've got 2 black balls each. I like that idea. Right. Well, let us, in that case, we will put Mr. Michael Carrick in past the Viagra.
Yeah, I think we should rename that to something a bit more in the middle, sort of like, midweek.
Well, no, Viagra, to me, I was thinking Viagra is, you can do it.
Yeah.
But you need a little bit of help.
Okay, I get your point. Yeah, I'm probably misreading it too literally, to be honest.
Yes. Look, Jeff's agreed with us, so he's made a decision there. Carrick third from bottom. He's not typing anything. Jeff isn't stupid. He knows me too well.
Yeah, I think in the middle, hang on.
Yeah, he would. He'd be one of those where he would probably come in. I think he'd probably settle the club down. Whether he would get us up or not is another moment. But then again, look at the teams we've got, the players we've got compared to the others as well.
Middlesbrough. Yeah.
Now, going on from that, next up is my favourite for the job, Edin Terzic.
Oh, Chris. Oh. Do the noises give you a hint, or is that going to get us in trouble? Suit you, sir.
Hang on. Do you want some tissue?
I really should have brought some to the computer. I didn't realise it was going to get this hot. I mean, I look quite warm today, guys. I've been sat in the sun yesterday, in case you wonder why I look like I'm on the verge of a funny turn. But that's why I'm quite red in the face already. But no, I'm quite excited by the idea of this. Obviously, it's similar to an Enzo appointment, oddly for me, although he's actually managed somewhere else before, right? Because he's got that pedigree from behind the scenes at big clubs that have had big European honours. And, that knowledge coming across is quite exciting, isn't it? Especially when you think... I also think with Terzic, the exciting thing would have been, like, in fact, our youth academy, right? And what it is right now, one of the only good things we got. And I think with that would be a very interesting mix, wouldn't it? So for me, Chris, it's my first full-on orgasm of the show, my friend.
Well, shall we orgasm together?
Oh, mate, maybe. This show's going to get demonetized, you realise, dude.
I know it is, isn't it? Jeff says, I can't read the categories on this phone, Chris. The top one, Jeff, is full-on stiffy, followed by a midweek semi, followed by past the Viagra, in the fact that you want to do it, but you just need a little bit of help. The bottom one is Sooner Do the Mother-in-Law, and the fourth one is Take Me to the Graveyard, because he might as well. Although, having said that, that's what you get at graveyards, isn't it? A load of stiffs.
Oh,
I'm
mate,
talking about.
let's keep going with these jokes and keep digging holes, eh? You're in the grave.
Hey, digging
I'll say
holes.
this, Jeff. The way I'm viewing this, Jeff, is I'm going like as easy. In the middle's average, the bottom's bad, the top's good, because otherwise we're going to get lost in these references all show, aren't we?
We are. That's the idea of it. Wayne says, I see
Wayne,
I see Tom's new, now the shiniest head in the show.
I'm not seeing all these messages. I'm only seeing some of them. So I don't. So maybe I've missed that. Is that Wayne? I've got Defo Terzic.
That was Wayne. He's gone off the thing now because it moves up.
I got you. My apologies. I missed it. No
now
worries.
I am going to go yes, and yes. I think for me, how can I put this?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I think we should go with that, don't you? Because I think the actual chance of getting him is nil.
Yeah.
But he's out of a job at the moment. He took Dortmund to the Champions League final. He then admitted that he probably couldn't take them any further because they lost that. But he'd been technical director at Borussia Dortmund. I mean, at Borussia Dortmund, he's been the assistant manager, the caretaker manager, then back to the manager. Then he went to technical director, and then he came back to manager as well. But he was also assistant manager at West Ham and Besiktas. He was Dortmund youth manager, Dortmund under-17 manager. He's also been a scout as well at Dortmund. And he's done all the jobs, you know. He's ticking those boxes, isn't he, really?
Yeah, and that's why I think he goes in the top. It's very rare me and you totally agree on everything, isn't it? But the thing I like about him is what you said there about his job roles, and that is right now when we've got a lack of faith in what's going on above, he seems to know every part of football inside and out, including the coaching and the youth academies, right? I mean, this is where I get a bit funny about our director of football, mate, because I'm not being funny. Like, if you're a good director of football, I think you should approach someone like Terzic and sell the club to him, pitch it. We might not have any money, but we've got the best training facilities in England for my money at the moment. We'll probably get past in a minute because that's the way the game's going, but there is something to sell there. And in a similar way to like the Red Bull clubs, like, you know, who end up generating their own players and selling them on, we could have sold him on something like that as a Brighton strategy with him at Leicester, and with the idea of getting back up. So, you know, I mean, it's a little bit, I mean, maybe I'm reaching here, but maybe that's my love for Leicester, right? But I'd try and sell it. Why not try and sell yourself as one of the big clubs, you know, because we've got the facilities for it. So so I agree with you. He's right at the top for me, and he's one of the few I imagine we're going to see today.
I can remember when we first started this, like, right, he's sacked, who we're going to get now. This guy wasn't anywhere near the betting, and I came out with it, and I remember being very nervous because it was me and Wayne doing the show, and I said to Wayne, almost sort of like, you're going to shoot me down when I say this, you know what I mean? So I don't like to speak up in the meeting in case what I say sounds absolutely stupid, one of those moments. And I said to Wayne, Edin Terzic, and he went, bloody hell, yeah, that's a great shout. And he's got there, Defo Terzic is the top bloke. I'm dealing with customers, and in my earphones I'm hearing Stiffy.
I thought he was listening to 50 Shades of Grey when on his audiobooks. I'm pretty sure it's not too different, Wayne. It's just, you know, same principle, mate. You know, minus the bondage.
Well, that could come later.
That should be the sixth category at the bottom, chaining them up in the basement.
Well, we're getting a little bit. What was that guy in Austria called? Let's move on very, very quickly. We're going to move on very, very quickly.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah. But like I say, I think he's 16-1 now. I think even if we still hadn't made a decision, I was hoping he might have been the Enzo equivalent this time, but I don't think he is. But I would love it, as they say, if he got the job. Hi Paul, how are you doing? Right, let us. I'm funny. We're up to 30 a minute ago that we're in. Not bad for a 12:30 mid-afternoon show. Guys, if you could all smash the likes button, it would really, really help the show. I really would appreciate that. It does help. It helps with our algorithms or something like that. Right, next up on the box, we have a certain Mr. Andy King. I'm going to go first with this one, if that's okay. What I'm going to say about him is, we all love Andy King. Andy King, if it didn't go well straight away for him, he would be given the time because of who he is. You know, it's like with Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think he got a little bit longer from the fans because we thought, this is Ruud van Nistelrooy. You know, where, let's be honest with you, Steve Cooper never got any time at all from word go. Everybody was, it seemed, against him. Now, I think Andy King will be the manager for the future. I just don't think that his time is right now. And that's the big thing that holds me back, is the timing. Now, what I would hope for, and I've said this on all my shows recently, what I would hope for was, I was actually going to do an Andy King show this morning, but obviously with the Cifuentes news, it kind of makes it...
Oh, that's why you were lining me up from yesterday for this one. You wanted someone pro Andy King to come on. I see you, Chris. I got you, mate.
I'm trying to be fair and give everybody a show. I know you are pro Andy King, and so am I. But what I would hope is that, look, he's had a bit of time as a coach under Nigel at Bristol City. He's had a bit of time with our youth here, and he's now obviously running the, caretaker manager in, if you like. But I still think, like I say, he's a bit too early. He hasn't got his pro license, but we're not in the Premier League, so we can get away with not having that. But when Claudio took over, and you know what I'm going to say, because I think I've said this to you before, when Claudio took over, he kept Craig Shakespeare.
Yes.
He had his own number 2, but he also kept Craig Shakespeare. So there was that continuity, which in fairness, Steve Cooper didn't have with Enzo, because Enzo, when he fucked off, he took everybody with him, which was, if they were his guys, he can do that. But Steve Cooper, he was hung out to dry. So what I would hope is, whoever gets the job, that King Power are saying, right, you bring your own number 2 in, but you keep Andy King as a joint number 2. So that he's involved, he's doing everything. Then, if that guy at some point leaves, Andy King can step up. The old Liverpool boot room from the sort of 80s and what have you. Shankly left, Paisley moved in. Paisley left, Fagan moved in. So that's how I see Andy King. And that's why I would put him in a midweek semi.
Do you know what, mate? I was thinking I might have to blackball you here, but you've actually really gone exactly what I was going to go anyway, because I'm a midweek semi on him. Obviously, I'm slightly biased, but the word is excitement, right? And I think, like you say, the excitement for me was what we saw on Saturday. I think before then, because I mentioned it before the game and I got a bit of heat, right? And it was funny how after the game, the fan base kind of relaxed a little bit. And I think actually a few people were more open to the idea after seeing what he did. But obviously, we all were very aware that he would need some more support somewhere. I think just slightly outside of this is an interesting point. I think it's something we should look at going forward to football club with ex-players that want to become coaches, if we can support them and maybe do things like Andy King and generate our own coaches and managers maybe in the future. Perhaps that's another phase of football that's about to unfold, Chris. I mean, it's kind of, I'm guessing, what the Red Bull group are going to be doing out in Germany, right, with Klopp, right? He's kind of leading the march and training up all these coaches and people to create a style for them. I'd love us to get into something like that, but right now we can't organise a piss up in a brewery or find the front door key. So, it's quite difficult to probably think we'll get there. But no, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with a midweek semi. I think he needs to go at number 2. I think the only downside, like you say, is we'd actually want to protect him a bit as well. I think, ironically, a lot of fans wouldn't mind if we were guaranteed it was going to be okay. But the worry is we'd ruin his career because we care about him, which I completely respect.
Yeah. Andy King is a number 2 under Richie Wellens. I know Jack had Richie Wellens on his show. I'm not sure of his managerial credentials. But, I mean, I think the other thing with Andy King is we want him because of the Leicester connection. People aren't saying we want him because he's going to be the next the next Pep Guardiola or the next Jose Mourinho. We want him purely because of the Leicester connections. If Conor Cody was in that position, would we be saying we want Conor Cody to be our next manager?
Absolutely
no, we wouldn't.
not. No.
Exactly. You know,
the difference, of course, because Andy King, since day one, when he walked into the football club and got into the first team, has played with his heart for Leicester. I mean, when he got in the team when we were in League One, wasn't it? He literally never got out of it until for 10 years, until we got to like Premier League.
He's won the top 3 divisions, the only player to ever have done that. You know, and you know, but like I say, I just think, are we wanting him? And my internet's blowing up a little bit. No, it's gone back to normal now. Are we wanting him for the wrong reasons? That would be my worry. Like I say, you know, if it was Jamie Vardy, we'd all be going, oh my God, you know, bend over and have your children. Yeah, come in as manager or whatever. But again, we would want him because of who he is, you know. And like I say, you know, if we suddenly said, you know, Jordan Ayew is going to go into management and become our next manager. Whoa, no. So that's my other worry with Andy King, you know. But I see him in 3 years' time, if that's how long the next manager stays, we don't know. Look at Enzo. I think he would be a very, very good shout then. So we agree on it. We agree on it.
We agree on it, mate.
We're doing well here, aren't we? 3 and 3 agrees.
No black balls yet, my friends. No black balls.
No. My balls are not black yet, I'm pleased to say. I'm going to leave the next gentleman until the end, because obviously, for obvious reasons. So I'm going to go for Liam Rosenior next.
Yeah.
Now,
do you want to go first, or do you want to go first?
No, again, I'll go first on this one, then you can do a couple. For me, I'd love him. I really would. He's unlikely to come, but we're not judging him on that. We're judging him on how excited would I be if he was announced as our next manager. He's got championship experience. He's done well, although it's not always a guarantee doing well and winning things in European leagues. Look at Mr. Van Nistelrooy, for example. You know, you could say he had a whole season, and he also managed the youth over there at PSV as well. So that's not any guarantee, but he's had that advantage of managing Hull to only just missing out on the playoffs, I think, on goal difference. I think he was sacked very harshly because the owner wanted a particular style, and it wasn't Hull. But my argument would be don't fix what's not broken, and I don't think Hull finishing one place out of the playoffs was them being broken. So for me, I'd probably go on full-on orgasm, to be honest with you.
It's funny, mate, because as we're doing this, I've just written down numbers 1 to 10 because there's a part of my mind that wishes we were just doing 1, 2, 3, 4 down to 10 and actually just arguing it between the positions, because I see this as in between full-on orgasm and midweek semi. He's kind of in between for me. So I'm very, and I agree with what you said about him. I think he's got a lot of good going for him, hasn't he? He's got a similar presence to Andy King, ironically. I know, like, he's got more experience and he's done more than Andy King, but a similar presence about him, I think, in how he handles the media, talks about the game. Obviously, his father was a very good manager. Obviously, I'm from the southwest, really, aren't I? And his dad did things with Torquay and all sorts, and so there's a good pedigree there as well, isn't there? So yeah, I'm going to probably say, I'm going to go with midweek semi, mate. I mean, let's argue about this. I'm going to go one below you because I think Terzic is on the quality level and the experience level, what we were talking before with the number of roles he understands in the game and all the rest of it, is probably the full-on orgasm above that for me. It's kind of like, but it is kind of like maybe going from like a Scarlett Johansson to like a Sydney Sweeney, isn't it? It's pretty close.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Now, I'm just going to look up Liam Rosenior because if we're going to go full on, I can't even spell his surname. How's it spell it?
While you do that, I'll quickly say, mate, like Ruud van Nistelrooy is so funny. I just thought of this when you were talking about him a minute ago, right, guys? And this is the joke that ends up with Ruud van Nistelrooy's tenure at Leicester, right? He was one of the greatest goal scorers in Premier League history, and he coached the greatest goal scoring drought in Premier League history. I mean, how is that even possible to do that when you are a natural goal scorer? When I look back, that season we had last year was utter insanity, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. And he also had the guy that did 11 and 11.
Oh, exactly.
For him. So, right, let me just get this up here then. Right, so he is currently at Strasbourg. Right, he has been, he was Brighton under 23 assistant manager. He was whatever's called an individual coach, so I'm guessing he was concentrating on, a particular position. He was Derby assistant manager for 9 months. No, sorry.
Was that
19
with Pearson?
months. I'm not sure. He was there longer than Pearson, if it was.
Yeah, I think he might have been over Pearson. Anyway.
He might have been, yeah. Then he took over as manager, and he was there for 3 or 4, 5 months, and then he took over as Hull. Got an average of 1.4 points, and obviously he's now at Strasbourg to get 1.7 points. Like I say, although I would get excited by Edin Terzic, he has done pretty much the same, I think, as Ruud van Nistelrooy in the youth level, probably a little bit more. But how excited would I be? Is very excited, and that's why I'm going for full on. But if you insist on going midweek semi, look, you gave me Michael Carrick at the start, so I will give you. I will take my Michael Carrick and raise you a Liam Rosenior, and I'll give you a midweek semi if you want to stick with that.
I think for the moment, let's do it. I mean, at the end, we'll review them all again when we've got them all in the clear light of day, right? And have another look. I mean, ironically, we're giving each other black balls, mate. We were being remarkably friendly today. So, yes. But I think, yeah.
Don't you be too sure about that. The show is still early.
Can you load up Noel Edmonds and Mr. Blobby, and we can argue about those afterwards as well? That'll really add the humour at the end of the show.
I like Noel Edmonds.
Is John Rudkin an option in this? Can we put Rudkin in this? He's coached.
Yeah, I'd sooner have John Rudkin over Gary O'Neill. I'll tell you.
Oh my word!
Next up, Mr. Sean Dyche. Go on, Tom. Go on.
Well, the word is excitement, isn't it? And look, I think the mentality in the fan base is.
Well, it's excitement, but taking into what he could probably bring as well. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, okay, but let's think of the mindset of the fan base right now as well, understandably, right? Sean Dyche has got a little bit of a movement behind him, I think primarily because we want a safe pair of hands right now, because we feel the club's in dodgy hands, right? The reality is there's a bit of a Cooper about him, and that if we did get off to a bad start with him, for me, I kind of think the fans would lose their patience quicker with Dyche than any of the rest of them, because you'd probably feel that football's only going to be limited in a certain way. So, but I've got to take, I'm going to do something, take my blinkers off and view it from the general fan base as well for all their concerns. And I'm going to say, I'm probably going to put him in the middle, Chris, past the Viagra. I think he's around the Carrick level for slightly different reasons. They're not the same manager, obviously, and they've got different qualities, but I think it's a similar level of love from me, perhaps. I would maybe, if it was my personal choice, if that's maybe what you want, I'd probably go sooner do the mother-in-law, because I just don't think it would end well very quickly.
I am torn. If I was doing this show on my own, you would probably be in past the Viagra, because I could understand why we give him. Like I said to you, this journey for Leicester to me is like being on a road and coming up to a T-junction. If you turn right, you get your Cifuentes, you get your Danny Rohls, you get your Edin Terzic, though, because it's a young man, might not get us straight up, might do, but it's the future, the future's blue, whatever they say. The other side, you get your Sean Dyche, your Chris Wilder, who I actually left off there.
We're like acid and alkaline with this, aren't we? They're two opposites. Yes. Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
So no, I would understand if the club went for Sean Dyche. I would understand why.
Yes.
But thinking about, would it get me up and thinking, yeah, this is it, we can do it, in the same way that what's he called? Enzo did. No.
Agreed.
So for me, I would go sooner do the mother-in-law.
Okay, well, we might have set the fans, but I'm going to agree with you because that was my first instinct personally. But I can also see the argument from other people saying pass the Viagra but like I say, it's a different kind of thing, isn't it? But yeah, I think it's more uninspiring because of the football potentially. And I mean, let's be frank, there's only one football club who's potentially going to get excited about Sean Dyche, and that's if Burnley get into a mess next season.
Yes, yeah. But that like I say, that is why I wouldn't be upset if we got him. But it wouldn't excite me.
Yeah, exactly. Especially where the football is now. But the irony is, we're talking about in the chat as well, and I agree with this, he's a bit too old school, right? But perhaps part of the problem with Leicester's been we've been trying to do what everyone else has tried to do. I've thrown this at Tottenham before. I mean, Tottenham didn't win a trophy for X amount of time, but they were always trying to copy the team slightly better than them, right? As we were starting to do with Enzo. And you kind of think we won a Premier League on a 4-4-2 counter-attack system no one else would even look at. And you think if we did something different, perhaps there's some value in that, right? And have a different ideal, a different strategy. And the teams that generally do that with less money generally do pretty well by my accounts, you know? So, yeah, but I'll agree with you. I think sooner do the mother-in-law because I think the word is excitement. I don't think there's excitement involved.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to ask you to talk a bit longer about this next guy because I'm going to have to add. I've forgotten Chris Wilder, so I am going to add an extra one in there in a second.
This is fun. Add loads more, Chris. Add loads more in there.
It is actually. I think it's because we've not argued yet. David Wagner. Talk to me about David Wagner.
Well, this is an interesting one because I must be honest, I didn't keep much of an eye on him in the last couple of years, but obviously I'm aware of what he's done more in the past. And he does fall into that category for me of the modern day German manager you kind of pick up from the lower leagues who's got something about them, though. And there's quite a few of these around. As you know, the Crystal Palace manager has come from a similar scenario, and the Brighton manager, right? And they've done relatively well, and they've got interesting ideas, and I think they're very good at what they do. So for me, I wouldn't be dead against it. It's kind of similar to Hasenhüttl, right? I wouldn't be dead against it, but I wouldn't be fully for it either. I kind of would think it's a bit 50-50 how it turns out. Could be a Paulo Sousa kind of situation, right? Which didn't turn out very well for us previously, where you kind of get him in and it doesn't quite work out. So, yeah, I'm not against the bloke, but he hasn't also got a stable track record. He seems to have done a good job at one place and other places perhaps not so good. So I would put him probably in a similar category to Sean Dyche here, I think, Chris. I'd sooner do the mother-in-law.
Right. Well, let me get the details
up. Yeah, get his record up. Definitely. Obviously, lovely comments in the chat here, guys. Keep this going. Honestly, it's creating some good discussion. Let's really enjoying this one.
Right. Manager. Well, he's actually at RB Leipzig at the moment.
See, I didn't know. See, that shows you I'm a bad guess for that answer because I had no idea he was at RB Leipzig. But obviously, he must be making Jurgen Klopp.
He's pretty much 53, so he's kind of mid-range with, he's 10 years older than the younger one, but younger than the, Sean Dyches of the world.
BMW Z4, yeah.
When I say he's at Leipzig, though, he's actually academy manager at Leipzig.
Does that change your impression of him? That might make me go up to pass the Viagra, bear in mind the younger players we want to include, actually, because that's something important in our...
He's been around a bit. His first job was Hoffenheim under 19. He then went to Hoffenheim under 17. He then went to Borussia Dortmund 2, not the main team, the B team. 164 games he had there. Huddersfield, he was there for 154 games as well. 164 for Dortmund 2, 154 for Huddersfield. 1.23 points he got per game there. He then, when Huddersfield got rid of him, he had a gap of 6 months. Then he went to FC Schalke, where he was for 40 games, but he was actually there from July 19 to September 20.
Schalke were a mess, though, weren't they? Schalke were like Leicester then, a mess.
Yeah. He then went to Young Boys as manager, 40 games there. Norwich, we know was his last job in the UK, 75 games there. January 23 to May 24, so if you like a season and a half, 1.47. RB Leipzig, academy manager. He did, didn't he? I I'd really, hi Georgie, how you doing? I'm torn between pass the Viagra and sooner do the mother-in-law.
Me too, mate. And also because he's got Klopp's endorsement to bring him in back into a youth role. And also that Borussia Dortmund 2 team, don't forget, would have had a lot of players that are in the Borussia Dortmund first team today. You know, like some really good, like Jamie Gittings, who's now linked to Chelsea, right? He was down there probably about that time. He's of quality. And he's English as well. So keep an eye out for him, guys. Hopefully Chelsea don't ruin him. But I quite like these German managers, Chris. So I'm sort of slightly aiming up because I don't want to put him next to Dyche, really. Do you know what I mean?
So are we going to go for past the Viagra?
I'm going to give it to him slightly because of his experience with young boys, which is a horrible joke, but there you go.
I'm saying nothing.
You've done that previous, so I'm going to really push the boat with some dodgy jokes as well today. No, I'm joking.
I'm pulling back from the edge with that one, I'll tell you.
Somewhere. It's post-watershed. It's post-watershed for Jeff and the Philippines, I'm sure.
Yeah. Cheers, Greg. Enjoy your holiday, mate. Honestly, you're dropping us to go and have a swim in the pool and a pint of cold beer at the side of it. Honestly, get your priorities right, Craig. But no, thanks for popping in. 31 in, please do smash those like buttons. It really, like I said, I can't keep saying how much it helps. So we've gone for past the Viagra for him, haven't we?
Yeah, I think just about, but he might move later, I think. Yeah.
Now, I want to go on, and I'm jumping around a bit here on the ones at the bottom, but I want to go on to Lee Carsley. Now, you cannot argue that this guy hasn't had the success. England under 21. He has just signed an extension, so we would be very expensive to get out of that competition, out of that contract, sorry. He's 51 years old, and he's split nationality, Irish and English. And at the moment, for God's sake, my internet is not bringing his details up. So
that's right. It's normally me causing the problems. Touch wood, mate. You long may continue.
Here we go. His average term as a coach is only 0.6 years. His last club was Coventry. Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He likes to play a 4-2-3-1. Would he... Look, before he was England under 21 manager, and obviously he was caretaker manager for 6 games as well. But while he was before he was England under 21 manager, he was England under 20 manager, and before that he was England under 21 assistant manager. On a league term, let me take it back. What I was thinking: Birmingham caretaker manager for 3 games. Birmingham under 23 manager, Manchester City under 18 manager, Brentford assistant manager. I'm going back now 10 years. Sheffield United assistant manager, Coventry twice. He was caretaker manager. So he's actually again dealt with the youth, got the experience, you could argue, but. Why is he suddenly in this top 10 of, betting? Is it just because he just happened to win the Euros again?
I think it's probably his agent making sure he's going to get the right money out of the England job, right? I mean, that's probably what it is. He
wasn't linked until... He was linked a while ago, but when it first was happening. But then he signed the England contract.
Exactly
then
my point.
He won the Euro under 21s for the second time and held on to it. And then he popped back into the betting. Even with all that experience, though, he doesn't excite me.
No, he doesn't excite me either. I think also as well, I mean, don't get me wrong, the last manager we took who had a national manager's job, the time before, actually ended up being pretty good for us, ironically, despite a dodgy record he had there. That'd be Claudio Ranieri, wouldn't it? Because obviously he was at Greece. Yeah. But yeah, there's something about the transition across, mate, I think, from a national coach into a coaching job, after a while of being a national coach. that I find a little bit, also a little bit uninspiring, perhaps. It's similar to the Gareth Southgate argument, really, for me, isn't it? It's kind of like, I don't see Gareth Southgate as an exciting appointment. In theory, he's a United England manager, right? He's got us to finals, but it's not really exciting. And I think there's an element of potential risk there when it comes to the other elements of actual club football management, right? So for me, I think we should rename that fourth bottom category into Tom's category, because they'll join me as the band of bold brothers. But I'd sooner do the mother-in-law, my friend.
Okay. Totally see where you're coming from with that. And I think the argument, well, he's won the Euros with England under 21. Let me throw something at you. Steve Cooper won, I can't remember, the Euros of the World Cup with the under 17s.
Yeah.
So for me, it doesn't really stack up as, woo, well, yes, let's get him in, sort of thing. Again, are we going to disagree on anything here?
I don't know, mate. But it's an interesting logic, isn't it? Because
I'm just looking. Sorry, Matt. Is he off to crack one off? Did he say?
I think he's cracking off a few windows right now, Chris, and he's got his headphones in. So bless him, he's probably got to do some proper work. I mean, so unlike me and you sat at home right now.
He's got to crack on. Sorry, I saw it.
Yeah. He'll crack one off later, I'm sure. Maybe that 50 Shades of Grey book reading he's got going on. But
yes. Anyway, do carry on. Do carry on.
Oh, I've probably lost my train of thought now, mate. Really, a little bit on that one, but yeah, I don't think
you're going to put him in. I think into the sooner do the mother-in-law.
Yeah, and I really want to rename it like, the Golden Bowl Warriors category or something, because, because I think a lot of them are going to be... I mean, for me, it comes back to that idea of... I think what I was going to say, basically, Chris, was I made a joke earlier on the Facebook group, didn't I, which you spotted and liked, about, like, names and, how it means stuff. And someone immediately came back at me, about, and said, like, oh, the last manager we got from QPR did this for us. And I was like, yes, because they're exactly the same person, right? Ian Holloway and Cifuentes are exactly the same person. Bizarre argument, isn't it? That people do things like that. But that's my point. You don't really understand how the transition is going to happen from a national job to a league job. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Even little things like who your assistant coaches can make a difference. Look at Steven Gerrard at Rangers. As soon as Beale left, he was useless, wasn't he? So I would still say, though, with all that being said, and I come back to the word we keep saying about excitement, I don't think it would overly excite the fan base. So I'd sooner do the mother-in-law.
Well, guess where I'm going to put him?
I'm going to guess we're agreeing.
We are, yet again.
Yes.
Sooner do the mother-in-law. We haven't disagreed on anything, really, apart from Michael Carrick, you probably would have put down in sooner do the mother-in-law. And Rosenior, I might have put on the orgasm. But apart from that, we haven't overruled. But look, there's a first time for everything.
Yeah.
Chris Wilder. Are we going to disagree or agree on Chris Wilder?
I think we are.
Look, I'm again. Funnily enough, when he was sacked by Sheffield United, I immediately went on Leicester City ? Then you look at it. Now, I had actually had a Sheffield Wednesday guy on, and let's be honest with you, with any of these arguments. When you listen to, Dan put a very, very good, from Turf Moorhouse TV, put a very, very good argument up for Sean Dyche. And a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, it's made me rethink about him. And the lad, Ash from Sheffield United, where you very kindly came on, he really sold me on Chris Wilder. But he does fall in, he does again, he's brought you through. I think it was very unfortunate that he got sacked this time by Sheffield United, having just missed out on the playoffs. And it's like, but the football league season's a bit like a horse race, isn't it? If you go to the front too early, then quite often the other horses catch you up and overtake you. And that can happen with football. And that kind of happened with Sheffield United. January, I think, they were towards the top, and then they slowly fell off.
Paul's
I think
that.
Paul, I think Paul is he's going for one of these.
No, God, please, no.
Who gifted you the soundboard, Chris? That's brilliant. Who's gifted you the soundboard? We're going to have a lot of fun next season, aren't we, when I say something stupid?
To be honest with you, we've had the soundboard for a while, but I tend to do the visual more because that's sort of, you people can see that. But yeah, and he did kind of sell me on Chris Wilde. Now look, Sean Dyche allegedly has said he doesn't want the job. So whether that's true or not, maybe he's holding out for Burnley to come up and sack Scott Parker, and he goes back into Burnley. And they would love him back there, let's be honest with you. And quite rightly for what he did for them. But Chris Wilder falls into that category it's the left-hand turn, because he probably would sort us out this season. He wouldn't take any nonsense from some of the players who think they're better than they are, but he will put his arm around those that need it. I think he'll settle us this term. He could get us promoted next season and possibly keep us up, like he did with Sheffield United, and maybe get us to 16th, 17th, which was all we can hope for in that first season back up. But then we move on. So that said, for me, I have to say I've got to put him in that same category as well. Although he has got hair, I have to put him in. I think the one you said, sooner do the mother-in-law.
This is the most interesting one for me so far, because I think this is the most diversive one, right? I think out of all of them, this is the most diversive one of the lot. And I tell you why, because it's a different argument with Wilder. Because the thing about Wilder is I think he's quite unlikable. I don't think he's a very likable man in some ways, with all due respect to him. I don't know the bloke. But there is something in that in football when we've had Nigel Pearson and Jamie Vardy. And people would say Jamie Vardy's a bit of a, and give him banter and he'd give it back. But when he's your player, you really love him for that, right? So similar to Pearson, he's got that sort of quality, but I just find him particularly unlikable for some reason. I don't know what it is. I find him unlikable. So I would probably say sooner do the mother-in-law as well. However, I could understand people coming back at us and going, that's a bit daft really, because he probably should be higher up, because the results probably would be a lot better than that, don't get me wrong. But we haven't talked about likability too much so far, and is a big part of it as well. And it's probably why Andy King's got a bit more of a boost as well, right?
Exactly. What he said, he gave a better post-match press conference on a pre-season friendly with two different teams than Ruud van Nistelrooy did with 38 games. And Wilder, he calls a spade, and that probably doesn't help him in the environment that we find ourselves living in these days. Jeff sums it up there. Wilder, before your Wilder show, would have put him in the bottom, but after the show was more impressed, second from the top. It is always a bit of a gamble, because managers can do well with certain clubs and then they go somewhere else and they don't do as well. But that's all we can go on. But I think we're going to put him in the sooner do the mother-in-law.
He's one of those, isn't he? That I actually think in some ways we're being a little bit inadvertently disrespectful to him putting him here, because I think he probably does deserve a bit higher. But like you say, there's that character element of him, which is a little bit like Christian Horner, right? Red Bull, who got sacked today, what we were talking about previously. A bit abrasive, perhaps a little bit, sandpapery. And if it's on your side, it can actually do some really good stuff. But the problem is when you are that way, generally 90% of football is going to dislike you, aren't they? So it's not a good footing to stand on, is it, really? So I think we'll stick in there, but I can understand people getting upset about this one.
Yes. Again, we're talking about the excitability. If he was appointed, my first thought would be safe pair of hands.
He's a 5 out of 10 appointment, isn't he?
Yes, but would he excite me and get me going, which is what I need to do after last season's shit show? Would he get me excited? No. Now, please forgive me, but I'm going to start rubbing my black ball here.
Okay.
Because I think this is the one where we actually may actually start to disagree. Talk to me about Gary O'Neill.
Gary O'Neill is a difficult one for me, because I joked on a show a few months ago, didn't I, when all this started? I said, the way this is looking with this football club, we're going to end up with Gary O'Neill because they're not going to make a decision. And look at what nearly happened this week. In life, Chris, sometimes you don't want to be right. Some people like to be right. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want this to be right, but I got a horrible feeling this is what's going to happen, right? And since that, we've seen quite a lot of backlash and a lot of defending from some people about him and all the rest of it. But I think the fact of the matter is that he seems a nicer chap than, say, a Wilder. But once again, we're going back to experience and what he's achieved. And also, I think he's shown some tactical limitations at times when you see how Wolves pushed on after he left, right? I think after Wolves got moved on from him, they became a better side, which is not a good look, really, is it, particularly? Because I think they shouldn't have been down in the bottom three last season, particularly at any point for the quality they had. Similar to us, probably under, our relegation year. So I think for Gary O'Neill, I'm leaning towards maybe even going right at the bottom, because I get some vibes like Russell Martin, and it's similar again. It's like likability, isn't it? It's that character, but I'm not fully sure on this one, mate. So I'll tell you what. Someone's gonna have to go in the bottom. I think for me, Gary O'Neill would be the most uninspiring. Would be the word.
I'll put my black ball away.
Wow.
Football League World, which is a fantastic site. I do some stuff with them, so I've got to say that, haven't I? They recently published a thing that said Leicester City must steer clear of Gary O'Neill. The worrying Wolves trait is why. I had Wolves last season in the bottom three, just because he was the manager.
Yeah.
And as Paul said there, if only Wolves had kept him, we probably wouldn't be where we are. Exactly. We wouldn't have been a lot better off, but I think Wolves would have been worse for us. When they sacked him, Wolves were in the relegation zone. Wolves were below us. And I don't know. Again, we had on Craig, who obviously, he could win a gold medal for Britain talking in the Olympics. When he wasn't talking about Eddie Howe or Scott Parker, and he was actually talking about Gary O'Neill. Again, he put a fairly decent point across for him. He has, and I'm just going to bring his details up here. He has put a good bit, and he did keep Bournemouth up when he took over from Scott Parker. Remember, he took over from Scott Parker after their 9-0 to Liverpool. So he's got that, but when we look at him, and his average length as a manager is 0.7 of a year. His preferred formation is 3 at the back, 3-4-2-1. He was Wolves manager, Bournemouth caretaker manager, Bournemouth assistant manager, and Liverpool under-23 manager. Albeit for only August 5, 6, about 7 months. So whether you can count that or not. But I want to go back to this point about why we should avoid him from Football League World. It's a really good article, and I said I recommend that you go. I did put it in the news in the social media, but do please go and check it out. What was one of our worst? Well, look, we were shit all over the place. But what was one of our worst problems last season? It was our defence, wasn't it?
Well, and also we couldn't score goals. It was a combination of the two, wasn't it? Yeah.
But the defence was a particularly worrying.
Yeah, it was worrying.
Worrying thing.
We shuffled around the whole pack all throughout the season and ended up in the same place half the time, didn't we? With our defence.
Yes.
It was rubbish, yeah.
Whilst he was Wolves manager last season, not the season before, because he did okay the season before. But again, they sold a couple of good players, and probably that didn't make his job any easier. But in the 16 Premier League games before he was sacked, they only managed 1 shutout.
Yeah. And they
say that again. Even though O'Neill did initially well, warning signs were there at the end of his first full season with Wolves, as they only won one of their final 10 games, as well as losing the FA Cup quarter-final to Coventry City. In that period, Wolves failed to keep a clean sheet. Last season, when he was at Wolves, they only kept 1 clean sheet, which left them in 19th place when they sacked him. Half those goals that Wolves conceded came from set plays. The team lacked organisation. They didn't respond to his methods, and he lacked the authority to change things as the same mistakes were repeated. Overall, that means O'Neill's Wolves side kept 6 clean sheets in 54 Premier League games. Now, I'm not saying that is any worse than... In fact, it's probably better than Ruud van Nistelrooy.
It sounds exactly like Ruud van Nistelrooy, doesn't it?
Exactly. I was going to say that very point. Yeah, he sounds like a photocopy of Ruud van Nistelrooy. Do we want a photocopy of Nude van Nistelrooy?
Nude Van Nistelrooy. I love that. You said Nude Van Nistelrooy. I love that. That's a great name. Nude Van Nistelrooy, yeah. Even though I'm hearing things because of all the sexually charged energy on that list.
I'm naked from the waist down, but we won't go into that. He will say that his defence wasn't the best, but the funny thing was when Victor Pereira came in, the first 2 games that he took over from Gary O'Neill, back-to-back clean sheets.
Exactly. And I'd also argue if it wasn't for Cunha, they'd have been a lot bigger of a mess. And I don't think that was down to his coaching. That was due to Cunha putting himself in the shop window because he decided to go on his own and make his own, future, right? So, I think he's got to go in the bottom, hasn't he? Because I don't see the point in us getting rid of Ruud, bearing in mind how awful he was, and replacing him with someone who, just like we said, can't keep a clean sheet, can't defend set pieces, which we've been terrible at as well. These are things that really we can't be looking at in a manager at all if we've got any sense of intelligence, right? So for me, Chris, he's the bottom of the list right now.
Yes. Right, let's just have a look here. I totally would not inspire me at all. I'd sooner go to a graveyard, as you said.
I'm getting the impression we get a lot of press conferences like Ruud van Nistelrooy where he's saying a lot of guff, but we're not seeing a lot of action. And I think we've had enough of that as well. We had enough of managers doing that. That's why Kingy had such a good, response after the weekend, right?
The other thing with apparently, that when they interviewed him, that he wanted to be either the second or third highest paid manager in the Championship.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a look I like in a person either, to go and make demands of that. I'm guessing they're associating the club's image and with money, but the reality is we're broke. Sorry, guys. You can have a nice house, you could be Katie Price, but you still got to go to court, haven't you?
It's a good point.
Kind of where we are right now. So no.
Now there's a first for you, ladies and gentlemen. Leicester City Football Club being likened to Katie Price.
Unfortunately, we could be in court ourselves, mate, with all the money we got. So who knows? Hopefully not. Hopefully that's not going to unfold. But...
Planet Earth says, which one of those managers is most likely to get our squad promoted this season? I don't think we will get promoted anyway. Anything up to a 12-point deduction. If we get promoted, it's a bonus in my hand. I don't see us going up this season at all. Right. Sheffield Wednesday. This guy was supposed to have negotiated a compensation deal to leave for like $1 million or $2.5 million, halved his compensation. And yet we still haven't got him. Now, Leicester City have come out and said, or the rumours have come out and said, that it's too complicated to get him in. Now, I get that, because you've got a dickhead of an owner at Sheffield Wednesday, and I do hope I quite like Sheffield Wednesday, to be honest with you.
Me too. They're a likeable club, aren't they? I'm sorry to see them in such a mess,
Yeah, and I think, I liked them back in the day when they got to 2 finals under Trevor Francis. I do like a bit of Sheffield Wednesday.
Nigel Pearson captained them, yeah.
And actually, he did indeed. He did. But if it is that complicated, and I don't, it may well be, we haven't got the time to do complication, have we? We're less than a month off kicking the season off.
Yeah, exactly. We've got to get moving here, haven't we, a little bit? So, we don't need the complication, and all this noise has not made it any better, has it, mate? But anyway, go back to you a minute. I lost my train of thought there because I was writing something down. My apologies, guys. Still waking up here a little bit.
That's okay. I'm trying to get a thing up here about Danny Rohl.
What I'm basically trying to do, Chris, I'm trying to write it down, not a 1 to 10 here as well, to try and at the end go, this is what I think will be the 1 to 10. You know what I mean? I think so I've just been reworking the list. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So, would I be excited with Danny Rohl as the manager? Of course I would. He seems to be everybody's favourite. there's nothing he hasn't done. And let me just get his details up here.
While you're doing that, Chris, can I quickly respond to what's going on about the promotion stuff? Because I had a point here which I forgot to mention previously, and it's interesting because there's two ways you seem to get promoted from the Championship nowadays. That's the Enzo way or the Parker way, right? And or the Company way, because he did a similar thing. Burnley would just shut the game down and didn't score any and didn't concede any goals and just nip games 1-0 the entire season. Or you do what Enzo did and you kind of try and get the game early and then you kind of hold on to it, right? I think if you do want to get out of the Championship with this Leicester team, ironically, we probably need someone more like an Enzo and actually force the game on opposition. Because I think right now we're having a year of playing against, basically being very, very bad at breaking teams down, like I've said before, and being very ineffective going forward. I think the answer to that is to enforce your game higher onto people. If you do want to go out and win football matches. And ironically, I don't think we've got many of those managers available for us to choose from. And there's a good point now about Dyche, because perhaps actually for all this talk about excitement, the one that might be the one to do it might be Dyche because of that defensive element and because Burnley have shown that's a good track way of getting yourselves back up, right? I think everyone else ends up in about, the playoffs and mid-table, right? But anyway, back to the market.
Dyche did keep Everton up with the points deduction, so
exactly.
Paul says there, if Rohl really wanted to come, he would be here by now. It's not down to him. He's still under contract with Sheffield Wednesday. He hasn't walked from Sheffield Wednesday. He hasn't turned up for training, as far as I know. Basically, it's the equivalent of gardening leave. But he's still under contract with, now, look, we've still got to look. They've got a wanker as an owner, and I say I do feel sorry for them. Any club that's got an owner like that, Reading had one, Portsmouth had them, I don't know why they buy football clubs, to be honest with you, but we haven't got time to do complicated. We really, really haven't. I've got a really good question to ask you after we've done Danny Rohl, but. Look at him. He's been assistant manager at Southampton, at Leipzig. But also while he was at Leipzig, he was the video analyst. So he was able to watch the videos and say, well, this wasn't working, guys. And pick out what was working and what wasn't working. You can go to the manager and go, look, this player, he really struggled in this position because boom, boom, boom. Or have you thought about playing this guy? Look how we can do this. Because he's done that really, really does excite me. Yes, he was assistant manager at Southampton when we lost, I think when we beat them 9-0. He was Bayern Munich assistant manager, he was Germany assistant manager, and he is Sheffield Wednesday's, obviously, manager. But I think it's down to the guy that owns the club that's putting the cock-ups in there. But we can't wait forever. But on the level of excitement, would he give me a full-on stiffy? Yes, he would, and I would put him in the.
I'm gonna say midweek semi, whatever that says. Is that midweek semi? I can't quite read it myself.
Midweek semi. We all like a midweek semi. Yes.
Let me obviously preface that with a bit of an explanation rather than just saying that. But the reason why is because I don't know if it's just because how his agent's been handling things, but obviously he's been out in the shop window. And I've used this to describe him before. He's kind of been going and swiping right on Tinder a lot recently, and all you hear is that he would really probably like to go back to the Bundesliga, right, and probably manage a club in the Bundesliga. So, and the problem is that when we've got a new candidate emerging in the last 24 hours who actually seems remarkably keen to come and manage Leicester, I think that gives him, that takes the edge off a full-on orgasm for me. I mean, it's kind of, it feels a bit fake, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd much prefer, maybe I'm being a bit funny here, but I'd much prefer to have a much more intimate relationship with someone I really loved rather than someone who was maybe a bit more attractive, but didn't really want to be with me. Maybe, but that's only one small part of the argument, Chris, and I get the attraction to him. But so I'm going to go with a midweek semi, but we can debate this a little bit more. Not a problem.
Black ball time.
Blackball me then, mate. We need to balance the list out. Yeah.
Yeah, I am going to blackball you.
Okay. I'm going to blackball you at the end.
Yeah, I didn't think I would be using this. but I am going to blackball you because I'm going to put you into full-on orgasm. I think if, I fancied Terzic, yes, but when you look at his experience, for me, you have to go Danny Rohl. He's been a video assistant. He's done his time with the youth as well. He's what was he here? Under 17 assistant manager with Leipzig, youth manager with Leipzig, or youth assistant manager, I should say. Sorry. And the fact that he's done that video analysis job, knows that he knows what he's talking about when it comes to football. I am going to overrule you. If they announced today that it was going to be Danny Rohl, I would have a full-on stiffy for him.
And I'll concede this to you, Chris. If you look at him logically next to Terzic, there's a lot of crossover in what they've done and achieved, right? There is a lot of crossover there. So I get that. And actually, he should be probably ahead of Andy King on the pecking order for that. So to put him with Andy King, I agree, would probably be incorrect. But I'm glad you used the black ball, means I've got one. Cool.
Interesting.
Because I'm going to make a swerve in a minute, but I want to say I love this format. Anyone in the chat has got any other ideas for these sort of list shows we can do with me and Chris having a bit of banter and just listing 10 or something? Let us know. Pop it in the chat either during the show, after the show, and we'll do some more of these. Chris, what do you reckon? They're quite fun.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've done them in the past. You can do it like best goalkeepers we've done or best strikers we've had or whatever. So yeah, there's different ones we can do, definitely. Now, Martí Cifuentes. This broke last night.
Cifuentes, I think. Chris. Say Cifuentes.
I can't say that name. That's why
I can't get Wout Faes right. It's Wout Faes or Wout Faes, but I thought it doesn't matter because he's useless anyway, so who cares?
Yes,
but, yeah.
Yeah, useless. See you next Tuesday is probably what his name should be. But I was doing, like I say, and that was the only reason I would ever want O'Neill to get the job, because I can say his name. But look, Martí Cifuentes came up last night while I was doing my O'Neill show. Then suddenly everybody suspended betting on Leicester manager. Doesn't necessarily mean a lot, because it could mean that it's just people putting money on. But the bookies don't often get it wrong, do they? They don't want to lose money. They're usually in the mix, if you like. But I'll let you go first. Of course, the thing could be that we are about to sign Danny Rohl, but this has been put out by the club or leaked by the club as a, just to throw everybody off. Was the Gary O'Neill, we're interviewing him, and we're not interviewing him because he wants too much money. Was that all a smoke screen so that, and whoever we got, we're thinking, thank God it's not O'Neill. We'll take, my management criteria is AOGO, anyone but Gary O'Neill, Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I got you.
Talk to me. I'm interested in why you're juggling your black ball here.
Well, I mean, I'm actually tempted to go full on orgasm, and I'll tell you why, Chris. Because from what I mean, it's all speculation, isn't it? But by all accounts, QPR fans really took to him and really liked him. I did actually yesterday watch.
Is that full on stiffy? Sorry, do you mean?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a full-on stiffy, because I must be honest, when he was first mentioned, I thought he's someone that I could definitely get on board with. I think he talks about the game well. He understands the game well. I've seen the videos. I'm sure a lot of you have, like his tactical masterclass video he did, where he talks about the game and what he wants from it. And the things he talked about are things that Leicester are really lacking right now. Stuff like being a bit more direct, being a bit more, we're going to ping the ball left to right into the space. We're going to challenge people. We're going to break through lines. All these things last year, we were lazy and we didn't do. So that really inspired me, and I think he's got a nice aura about him as well. And the QPR fans think that he literally made miracles happen with the state of where they are. And the reality as well is, Chris, he really wants to be here by the sounds of it as well. It sounds like money might not be a problem. The opportunity for him to manage Leicester City seems very important to him. So that's why I might blackball you here, because I know you're probably not going to go this high, but I'm going to go full on orgasm. I don't see him being any different than Danny Rohl.
No, and I'm just trying to get his
record up. Yeah, I'll be doing his record. Yeah,
because I can't spell his surname.
It's at the bottom of the screen scrolling, Chris.
It is, but I can't copy that. Yeah.
Well, that's true, isn't it? But no, he's an interesting one, how he's emerged all of a sudden from nowhere. And this might be a very interesting situation for us, Chris, because we're obviously limited on funds, like hideously limited on funds by all accounts. But we might have ended up lucking ourselves into a situation where he might end up having been the best candidate all along, ironically.
Well, Paul said there, Paul's aroused, and, that's something, I've never known Paul to be aroused before.
And his likability
here, setting the bar low, then leaking Martí. Jeff says Martí thingy, top category.
Yeah.
He has had a lot of jobs. Now, this guy is actually 43 years old. My God, has he had a lot of managerial jobs. But I don't think he's ever not sure whether he's actually been a player. He started out at Sabadell under-19 manager, and he's worked his way up to CE Sabadell assistant manager, Ajax youth manager, just take that in, Ajax youth manager, Millwall youth, well, all right, fair enough, Terzic FC youth coach, UE Ruby youth coach, and then UE Ruby manager, UE, just a little bit, Sant Andro manager, CE La Hospitalat manager, AIK youth manager, AIK under-9 manager, Sandefjord manager, Aalborg BK manager, Hammarby manager, and finally QPR manager. So a lot of youth jobs, which isn't a bad thing, again, with the position we're in and how we want our... that's what the wife says, Paul. But yeah, I think he's got a lot of that. It took, look, we're talking about ticking boxes, the biggest box being, does this guy excite me or not to be coming in as our manager? And when I heard it last night, maybe it was because I was talking about Gary O'Neill, who, as you can see, does not excite me at all. Yes, he does excite me. Let me ask you this question, Tom, because you were saying he's going to give you a full-on stiffy. Would you take Cifuentes now or wait 2 weeks for Danny Rohl?
I'll take Cifuentes now, Chris. I'll just get on with it. I don't want to wait for Danny Rohl. Bear in mind, he doesn't seem to be as wanting of the job. And I get, Cifuentes has moved around a bit, but perhaps the argument is he's ready to settle down. Do you know what I mean? When I was a young comedian, I was moving about the place quite a bit, but now I want to settle down, So, but and the thing is as well, I'll go back to likability, right? I mean, he's completely the antithesis of, say, Dyche, isn't he? Because the way he comes across, or Wilder even, he just comes across, I think, in a very good way. And I think the way he handles himself, and I think also, ironically, for our football club, that's important in our manager right now, because the ownership doesn't seem to be good at that. We need someone who's going to represent the club in a way which I think is going to get the fan base back on side a bit as well. And he's got that bit of charm about him, similar to Kingy, but obviously Kingy's not got the experience, right? So no, I would like him to come in today, and I'm hoping there'll be a video later that going live, and we'll be talking about his appointment. So for me, I'm ready to get my jocks off, my friend.
Well, can I just say, if we're going to announce it, it will be announced probably sometime after 5:30.
I know this because you've got a video uploaded, ready to go, haven't you? You've got a live stream sat there ready. Yeah, and I thought to myself, have you just broken the news before Leicester have? Because you must have some inside information, but let's not get you in trouble. But yeah.
Not to get me in trouble, but I'm going out at 5:30.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that video was up because it's not on the YouTube channel. So I didn't know. I haven't even put it in any categories yet. So it's there ready to go just in case. But I'm seeing my granddaughter at 5:30. So some things are more important than football. So it will either be a very quick one at 5 or a late one at 9 o'clock, something like that. So don't go out tonight, mate.
I'll be here, mate.
Paul said take Martí now. I would take Martí now. I don't think we've got time. And Cifuentes is offering to pay his own get-out clause at QPR.
Which shows he really wants to do it, Chris, doesn't it? You know, I think he wants the opportunity. And also with Danny Rohl, let's look at it this way, right? Danny Rohl's just come out of a situation with a Thai ownership that has really cocked the ball up for him, haven't they? And he's not got his entire way at Sheffield Wednesday. There must be a bit of a little bit of cloudiness in his head about maybe taking a Leicester City job where there's problems behind the scenes that aren't at that scale, but have got similar elements to them, right? And I think then that kind of rules himself out from it if he's not up for that challenge, because I think in some ways, if the manager comes in who has got to see it for what it is, you know, they can't, you know, turn a blind eye to the challenges we're facing. They've got to want to embrace it. And I just get the vibe from him that he's our best candidate of the lot.
Well, do you know the last manager that really wanted to come here, that we didn't have to go and actually have? The guy said he wanted to come before we'd even spoken to him.
Wasn't it Martin O'Neill, or am I going too far back? Okay.
You're not going too far back, really, but you're in around the right ballpark. But I'll tell you who it was, because otherwise we could be here all day. It was a certain ex-QPR manager.
Oh, okay. Of course it was, of course, yeah. And that was a mistake from him because he had Plymouth in the playoffs at the time, didn't he?
Yeah. And he got Blackpool after us. He got Blackpool to the Premier League. It was unfortunately probably the right guy at the wrong time. So you think you're going to... Where do you think I'm going to put him then if you're going to blackball me?
I thought you were going to put mid semi. I thought the one down. I thought you were going to put him with Kingy and Thingy. Yeah, so Kingy and Thingy, that should be the tag team we have leading this club. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Kingy and Thingy. I could be the Thingy Kingy. Yeah, I was born in the same hospital as Andy King, I realised the other day.
I've got two black balls as well, a black ball left. But you said your black ball first. You said your black ball first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mate. You don't need your black ball.
Oh, so I've ruined it. I've got rid of one for no reason. I've thrown a ball and lost it. Okay, right.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, look, I know that there are other managers out there that are being linked with us, but I'm not sure what that is there. But those are the ones, like the main ones, if you like, you know.
There's a good comment here.
It is said that QPR will only accept a payment from a club or an institution. They will not accept it from an individual. Again, I think that's QPR playing hard to get. So we lend him the money. Let's lend him the money.
Easy fix. We pay it, and then he gives it back to us in his wages.
Yes,
easy fix.
Yes. Yeah. That would be fine. And like I say, I don't think we can hang about now. He would excite me. He did excite me last night when I heard this. As Jeff said then, Thursday is press day at Leicester City, so maybe tomorrow. You'll suddenly know something's happening when you're getting a load of notifications. And do click that notification bell, everybody, because all the Leicester channels have got the shows going. It's like Phil at Leicester Fan TV. He said to me he got all the artwork ready to go for Rude being sacked. He was just waiting for the button to be pressed so he could use it. Okay, so you've put these in a 1 to 10 then, have you?
I think so, mate. Can you double check all the names for me? Because I swear I'm missing someone, or I've put someone extra in and I can't quite work it out in my head.
Right, but, so we've got...
You know why? We got 11 there, that's why. We got 11.
Yeah, because I added Chris Wilder.
Okay, so read them out to me again from the top.
Okay, so we have got Chris Wilder.
Yeah.
Martí Cifuentes.
Yeah.
Gary O'Neill.
Yeah.
Sean Dyche.
That's the one I'm missing, Chris. That's fine. I don't know how I missed Sean Dyche. That's quite a funny one, really. It's interesting.
He's the big bugger. He's the big bugger. So, give me out of interest. Let's just quickly do this before I nip off. Give me your 1 to 11 then.
Okay. Well, listen to you. Yeah, start at the bottom. Right, this is my list only, guys, so I weight the abuse with a great thing. But number 11, I'd have O'Neill. And actually, this might mean we're going to have to change this, Chris, actually, because it shows I've made a mistake in one of my decisions. So number 11, I'd have O'Neill. Number 10, I'd have Wagner, which is interesting because he's actually higher up, isn't he?
Yeah.
Number 9, Carsley.
Oh, right.
Okay. Number 8, Wilder.
Okay.
Number 7, Dyche.
Yeah.
Number 6 will be Carrick.
Okay.
5, Kingy. Number 4,
Okay.
Rohl. Danny Rohl, number 4.
Oh, only number 4. Okay.
Yeah. And then I'd go with Cifuentes, number 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This one's negotiable, though. Number 2, Rosenior, newe. And the number 1,
Rosenior.
Terzic. Yeah, and number 1, Terzic. But of course, that's my personal opinion. I'm a big fan of Terzic, as you know. But actually, to be honest, mate, Cifuentes could be number 2. It's that close, you know. And obviously, down at the bottom, there's a bit of a muddle there between Dyche, Wilder and Carsley, isn't there?
Do you want me to do mine then?
Yeah, go on, mate. I'll be intrigued on this.
Okay. Now I'm doing this. I'm doing this as live, everybody, because I'm doing this live when because I hadn't preferred this. Number 11, no surprise, O'Neill.
Yeah.
Trying to poke my eyes out with hot needles.
Oh, God.
Number 10. I'm going to get so much hate for this. I think I'm going to go Andy King.
See, it's interesting, yeah, because it's different to the list we got here. That's why I wanted to write it down, because I've got Wagner there, who's actually a lot higher up. So,
but that was excitement. How excited would we be?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
This is who we want. So, in fact, it's who we want. No, I'm not going to put King there. I'm going to put Carsley as number 10.
Yeah.
Number 9, Wagner.
Okay.
So we're pretty much the bottom 3 is pretty much there or thereabouts, isn't it?
Yeah, they're a little group, aren't they? I mean, O'Neill's on an island on his own. Let's be frank.
Yes, yes, he is. Yeah, he's 11 in our top 10.
With Tom Hanks and Castawayed him, haven't we? We left him with a football on his own.
I did say in last night's show, I said that we were allowed 25 players in the squad next season. I said, well, let's hope that Wout is number 26 on the list.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah. So then it gets difficult. I'd probably put Carrick at number 8.
I'm wondering if I put Carrick too high. Yeah, but anyway.
Then who would I want? I'm going to put King at number 7 purely because of his lack of experience.
Not a problem.
If we get a good number 2 in, and I don't think we should have joint managers. Liverpool did that for a while, didn't they? They had joint managers. That doesn't work. But if you've got a really good number 2, like a Nigel Pearson or somebody like that as his number 2, that could work. But no, I'm going to put him down there. I'm going to put a star next to his name because it is basically down to his experience. Now it's going to get difficult. Number 6, I'm going to put Dyche.
Yeah, okay. So we all got those 6 kind of in the same place, haven't we? Or 5, yeah.
Yeah. Number 5, I'm going to put Wilder.
Okay, so a bit higher than me, yeah.
Yeah.
You like an arsehole, Chris.
Sorry?
It's similar to the Jamie Vardy and Nigel Pearson argument. If he's your arsehole, you like him, right? But everyone else hates him.
Yeah. No, only because I think he'd be more... I just think he'd be... I think Dyche probably is believing his own publicity now.
Yeah, exactly. I think he'd be quite well suited as like an opening act for the new Al Murray tour, wouldn't he? The pub landlord or something like that. I think he'd be really suited to that as a career change, perhaps.
Yeah. But I think having recently talked to Ash from Sheffield United Way, Nick, from Sheffield United Way, I would have Wilder at 5. Now, so our top 4 are going to be the same.
Yeah. The one we're going to get slammed for, Chris, is even putting Terzic on this list. I can't wait because I'll read it somewhere on the internet. Did you see this video on Leicester Till I Die where they put Terzic as number 1? But it's like he was actually in the bookies odds at the start, guys. Let's just make that clear. So
yeah, he's a 16-1 outsider. You know,
we know it's not realistic. Don't get me wrong. We know it's not realistic. We're not saying it's going to happen. Just make that clear because people don't get that nowadays.
I think I'm going to put Rosenior at number 4 because he did well at Hull. I'm going to totally ignore the fact that he's got Strasbourg into Europe because the fact that a manager's good in Europe doesn't make him good in the UK.
Also, to be fair to Strasbourg, they've actually got a lot of good players. And I'm not just saying, I'm not saying they're a top club, but the quality and youth they got there, Chris. If you're looking for a player for the Premier League who's got a bit of young spark about them, I'd look at their football club. They've got tons of them. Yes. I'm going to be. It's my show, so I'm going to allow myself to do this. I'm going to have a second equal. Okay. All right.
And that is.
I'm going to blackball you. That's my second blackball. You got to choose. I've blackballed you, Chris. Sorry, second blackball in use. You're done.
I thought we only had one black ball.
Oh, no, you said 2. I said 1, remember? I said 1 black ball and you said 2. Your rules, mate. So I'm playing by your rules. You can't do it. Now you're going to have to pick. See, guys, I've got him under control. Don't you worry.
All right, then I'm going to put Cifuentes as my number 3.
Okay.
Rohl as my number 2.
Yeah.
And Terzic as my number 1.
Yeah. So the number 1 we both want is both of us wanting to go out with Scarlett Johansson. Let's be realistic.
Yeah. We're not going to get him.
No.
So really, you would then say get Rosenior. I mean, look, Rosenior's not going to come, is he? Let's be honest.
Cifuentes, here we are.
Yeah, so you've gone for Cifuentes. I'd just have Rohl over him because of his experience doing the analysing and what have you. Ivano, Gerard, really. I'll have a pint of what you're drinking, please.
Gerard's no good without Beale, I'm afraid. Without Beale alongside him, Gerard's useless. I'm sorry. He needs a good assistant manager.
My neighbour's son-in-law, if you like, as good as son-in-law, is a Rangers fan.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, we had a very drunken New Year's Eve together.
Oh my word!
2 of us went virtually through a bottle of gin.
Surprised it wasn't Bucky, mate. Bucky. Obviously, I'm from near Buckfast Abbey.
Oh, okay. But no,
money. Yeah.
And we talked about Rangers, and they'd got rid of Gerard, and they'd got rid of whoever his number 2 was. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, Gary Beale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Went to QPR,
and I said to him, would you now take Steven Gerrard back? And he went, my God, no.
Interesting, because he won them the title, technically.
Yeah, and I said that. I said, but he's just won you the title. He's taken that Celtic domination. And he said, no, he didn't win us the title. Beale did. He says Gerrard was just the face that put thing over. He said it was Beale's team and Beale's tactics and what have you. And then when Gerrard went to Villa without Beale, he flopped, didn't he? And he didn't last very long at Villa.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So that's the thing with Gerrard. But look, there we go.
It's opinions, guys. It's opinions. No, thank you, mate. It's been a lot of fun. The idea is it's been a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show anyway. It's been a lot of negative sort of energy around with Leicester recently, hasn't it? So it's nice to do something a bit lighter, isn't it, Chris?
Yes, yeah. And of course, like Tito Blue says there, decent players like Bilal will stay if you've got a good manager.
This is true.
How many players wanted to leave under before Enzo came in, and then he persuaded a lot of them to stay.
This is it, exactly. It's that quality, isn't it, mate? You've got to hope whoever is coming in today or tomorrow is going to have that about them, like I say. So that makes, so whatever's next for Leicester City, Chris, I think we just need to have a lot more hope rather than logic right now and just hope it's going to work out. But hopefully we'll have a bit of a lift later today anyway.
Is it just me, or is everybody else clicking on John Percy's Twitter? He's probably hasn't had this much interest in his Twitter account for ages.
No.
There's nothing on anywhere at the moment. Still, look, it's Leicester, so we probably won't be announced for a while. I enjoyed that, mate. That was very. Let's be honest with you. I only blackballed you once, and you didn't blackball me in the actual grading of it.
No. I think we were surprisingly similar on this, Chris. I think actually it shows you that now we've been a community for a while and I've been involved with the channel for a while. We kind of rubbed off on each other by mistake, not to get too sexual, but
Yeah. This is not the show to start getting sexual.
No, definitely not. We've got face for radio.
Yeah, exactly. Tom, thank you so much, mate, for coming on. I know it was short notice. You'd only just woken up when I messaged you. If, like me, you're starving because you're not eating yet, I'm off to get some food. You as well, mate. Thank you so very much for joining us. Really did appreciate it. Jeff, you're welcome, sir. Look, please, if you're in, smash that likes, subscribe if you're new, and click that notification bell, and you will never miss one, because shows in the off-season, shows are all over the place, especially when we're talking about getting a new manager. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? All the best, guys. Thank you for everybody that was in the chat. If you're watching it on catch-up, let us know what your thoughts are in the description below. And if you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very, very much for lending us your ears. Tom, you've been a gentleman, sir. No doubt within the next 48 hours we'll be back on here together, being happy or not, as the case may be.
I'll see you in midnight, Chris. Cheers, mate.
You probably. See you, mate. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.